It's time for another Out of Bounds Rewind with Bo Bounds on ESPN 105.9, The Zone.
Steve Robertson, 247 Sports, Boneyard Podcast on the Yuengling Lager guest line. What is the latest on Chris Parson, the quarterback out of Brentwood, Tennessee, and Mississippi State's recruitment of him?
Yeah, big question there. And I want to make sure that we set expectations correctly here. We tried to do that on the website last week. Parson was coming in with the family. His mom had never taken the guided tour at Mississippi State. So she came along, and the grandparents that live locally also came along. So it's big. I mean, and it's not a courtesy visit, when you bring everybody like that. So they had a great time. The expectation was that the Parson family would take the trip and then take a few days and kind of figure this thing out. And that's kind of where we are now. We were hoping to get a commitment. We weren't expecting to get one. And here's the thing, too, Bo. When it's the quarterback committing, yeah, I think State benefits from the big announcement. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if this kid tweets it out at 11 o'clock on a Sunday night, yeah, you get him. But I think, having the announcement or the big edit video or whatever, I think that's an important part of it because he is such an important recruit in this class. But still feel really confident about him being a Bulldog. I know A&M is lurking a little bit, but I think he's down their board a little bit. I know that Virginia Tech had tried to get in with him a little bit. They already have a quarterback committed in the class, so he's not going to leave 1-2 quarterback class to go to another one. And so I think things have gone as well as they could go so far for State. But just like we talked about with Skeens, it doesn't matter how well you recruit them if you don't get them. But I do think State's in a good position, and I think it's just really a matter of time before he announces for Mississippi State.
So A&M's throwing around money, like crazy people, and that gets people concerned. Will he wait out to see what A&M does?
I don't know.
How about this? If they lose out on Malachi Nelson, I know he was on campus this weekend, but I know he's committed to Southern Cal and he's a West Coast kid. That could, who knows with that? You don't believe that he's right behind you think there's another player, maybe two, before they get to Parson at A&M. Is that right?
Yeah, I do. And I really think at this point, if they're real serious about Parson, they would have already offered. Right now he's just a prospect on the board and a guy they're maintaining a bit of a relationship with. They haven't really gone all in, and that is always a concern with a team like A&M, not just because of their resources, but because of the fact that, Jimbo's a guy that, that coached some of Chris Parsons' favorite quarterbacks. He grew up a Florida State fan and thought, I can go play for the same guy that coached Jameis Winston, So that would be a concern. I mean, not just the NIL stuff, but, at this point, they're not – I wouldn't say they're a major factor. That's just a potential concern. I think it's important to kind of set the full paradigm here that A&M is a player, but they're not a major player at this point. And if things go south with a couple other guys, they could be.
Okay.
So it's not like Mississippi State's going to get the kid on by default.
Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by Rick's Pro Truck. We're visiting with Steve Robertson, the Boneyard Podcast, Gene's Page 247 Sports. So what do you think the timeline is on Chris Parson?
It's tough to say because Chris has kind of done things his own way. I mean, it's like we always knew that he was going to decommit from Florida State. We just didn't know when. There was a discussion about him going to the Elite 11 and having some big announcement, and he gets out there and really doesn't make an announcement. So he kind of does things where he wants to get it done. But, fall camp's opening up for us, and a lot of people in out-of-state are going to be in school here pretty soon. I would say a week to 10 days. I don't think it lingers into the season. But, who knows? And I think if you're Mike Leach, you want to be patient with the guy, but at the same time, too, you don't have to have a quarterback in this class, but by and large, Mike Leach, it's what he's done historically is you take at least one quarterback in the class. And so I don't think Mike's interested in going out there and just go getting a guy to get a guy. So they'll wait him out and make him feel like a priority. And I think Leach is a big part of this with Chris. I think there is a lot of intrigue on the part of Chris Parson that he doesn't want to be labeled like the athletic quarterback. He wants to be labeled a quarterback. And we'll see what kind of ceiling he has, but Mike Leach has made a real positive impression on him, and I think there's always that celebrity factor part of it too. It's like, this is Mike Leach. This is a guy that's routinely put guys in the league and put up some huge numbers. And so I think that is a big factor for State, because I think there's some doors open for Mississippi State that wouldn't ordinarily be open. Even when you got Dan Mullen and Jim Moorhead here, I mean, you didn't routinely have guys of Chris Parsons' ability taking multiple trips to Mississippi State and talking about making a defection from a Power 5 school at Mississippi State. So you just got to go close the deal. No points for second place.
What is he close to his? Do you know? Is he close to his grandparents? I mean, that's a strong relationship.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, very much so. And that's a big drawing card too. I mean, of course, there's some cousins and people like that here too. And so, and I think bringing the grandparents last weekend was significant. I mean, it wasn't just, okay, they're in town, let's all go have some fun. And I think Chris is a guy that values family and wants to share the experience with his family. And he spent a lot of time in Starkville over the years. And so it's not like, all this is new to him, but it's kind of new to the grandparents. And I think the fact that they came along, I think really shows that this wasn't, a courtesy visit type situation. And I think they're going to get him. I really do. At this point, I'd be surprised if they don't.
Is he, and there's nothing wrong with this, is he best available, or is Leach and Hollings, is it Hollingshead?
Yes.
And all that group on the offensive side of the football, this is something that they are focused on shifting away from just a pure passer and adding a little bit of, some athletic ability and running ability at the quarterback position, Steve?
I think we're seeing a bit of a shift. And I think some of it's because you see what Cliff Kingsbury has done in the NFL, and you see what Lincoln Riley has done. Those guys obviously in the Mike Leach tree. But you also look at what State's doing for 2024. I mean, you offer Trey Petty here at Starkville High School, and he and Chris Parson, very similar quarterbacks. So it's like you're kind of trending more towards that athletic quarterback that can tuck it and go. Maybe you're not going to do a lot of design quarterback runs with them, but you're not going to get a guy that's a statue back there. And I think what we're seeing is maybe some innovation in the quarterback evaluation at Mississippi State. I think Mike Leach is just kind of maybe tweaking some things a little bit to kind of make that offense a little more dynamic. I think it's a wonderful thing.
Oh, I think it's something he's going to have to do if he wants to stay 5 or 6 years, which I think Mississippi State fans should, be rallying around that. Do you think he's actually talked to Cliff Kingsbury or Lincoln Riley about this, or is this just something that he has decided from observing Kyler Murray and others that this is the direction he needs to go now because of the way the game is played?
I don't know if I could really handicap that, but I believe it's probably a combination of both. Mike is really close with those guys. It's not like it's just, kind of a passing thing. I mean, I've talked to him before about Cliff Kingsbury, and he said there's a lot of times they talk in the off season, just, about tweaking plays and route combinations and things like that. And so they talk shop a lot. It's not just, hey, how are you doing? Good luck on Sunday type deal. And so, and I think Mike is a very intelligent guy, as you know. And I think a lot of it is like, hey, this is the way I've always done it. And these guys know my system, and then they're doing this, and both of them are having some success with this particular, personnel. And so I think it's probably a combination of both. But, I've had a lot of people in the past say, Mike's just kind of stuck in his ways. And, after spending some time with Leach himself watching film, I just don't believe that's the case at all. I think Mike wants to win as much as anybody does, and I think he simply sees this as a way to make this offense more potent and to obviously win more football games.
Don't miss one moment of the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Weekdays, 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.